One of the main things to leverage in the job tracker, if you're using anything, it's the stages. You want to know what jobs are in what stage so you can keep it all in your mind. You might be managing tens, hundreds of opportunities if you're able to leverage the platform to its fullest. So let me talk about what the stages are. So first you've got bookmarked. Those are jobs that you've just saved. You don't have to take an action. Again, just think of them as things that are in your shopping cart. You're not even sure if you're going to buy it or not yet. And be generous with that. Just add lots of things to bookmarked. There is no downside to having them in there as long as you sort of prune and clean up your job tracker. So the way you would do that is obviously change your status. Everything that comes in comes automatically into bookmarked. So here's all our bookmarked jobs. If you want to see things that are just bookmarked, you can click the filter and it shows just bookmarked jobs. And when you go into a job, it's there as bookmarked. Next is applying. This is a stage that, depending on when you watch this video, may or may not be here, and would love feedback. This is a place for you to sort of put jobs that you're going to apply to while you're actively working on it. So it's a way to kind of prioritize, this is my bin of jobs I want to apply to. A lot of users don't use it. They kind of use bookmarked as that. So would love feedback on that. So you'd go in and say, hey, this job I intend to apply to it. So I'm going to move it to applying. And then you can see my applying stage here has 4, and you could sort of work through them, get your applications out, make your resumes, and then you would move them to applied. And you would just say applied. You could do that by going to applied. That changes it. And then when you do that, you get different feedback and advice on the stages. I'll do a separate video on the guidance by stage because I don't want to make this one too long. So I just want to give you the stages. So we'll do a separate one on that. But if we go back to applying, you can see your stages there. Then next is interviewing. As you have jobs that go into the interviewing stage, this is the one that actually changes the interface a little bit. And there's some functionality because interviews are very much dynamic. And there's a reason we don't have screening interview and things like that as stages, because some companies might have 3 interviews. Unfortunately, some might have 10. And so the number of interviews is very dynamic. So when you go to the interviewing stage, what you'll notice is that you get interview tracking. And now you can put in the type of interview, the date of the interview, the format of the interview. You can add interviewers from your contacts, which I'll get into when we talk about contacts. But then as you get a second interview, you can click add interview, and you can keep going for the number of interviews you have. And so interviewing has these sort of sub interviews that you can go to. You don't see that from your tracker at the moment, so you would just want to see any jobs you have in the interviewing stage. If you do come to your tracker and it looks like all your jobs are missing, it might be because one of your filters is on. So look to see if one of your chevrons is highlighted. Then next would be negotiating. So, if you get an offer, I would move it over to the negotiating. Hopefully you can get a few jobs in that stage. And then of course, last is accepted. Now, along the way, you do want to tend to the jobs that aren't moving forward. Be regularly cleaning up your stages. So a job that you bookmarked and you don't want to apply anymore, just archive it. And when you archive it, it'll come off your tracker. If you unfortunately get the feedback that you didn't receive the position, then you would do not selected, right? So you didn't get the job, unfortunately. Then another might be, I withdrew. I don't want to be in this job anymore. I'm going to take myself out of the process. And then, unfortunately, there's lots of jobs that we just don't hear back on. And so you can use the no response. And that can be a way to just sort of take jobs out of your tracker that you didn't hear back from. Now, maybe you do hear back from them and you want to go back to your archived jobs. So you come over to menu and you go to archived jobs. And that's where all the jobs that you've archived. Now, if you delete a job, it will be gone. That's why I recommend that you archive. Delete might be because you double bookmarked it on 2 different job boards or something like that. But generally, I would use the sort of close reasons. Didn't hear back, I withdrew, and any of these. Not selected or archived. And that's how you would come over to your archived jobs. And then to get back to all your jobs, you just click here, back to active jobs. and that takes you there. Right now, we don't have a view of all your jobs in one place. You either have your active or inactive. We're working on that and giving you a way to just have them all in one place and being able to filter it by default. But that is currently how you use the stages and how you can get to the various jobs at each stage.